Pizza shop workers, what's the weirdest delivery you've made? I've been delivering pizza for Tony since college started 2 years ago, and let me tell you, you see some absolutely wild stuff in this job. College kids ordering at 3 a.m., wearing nothing but towels, guys proposing with pepperoni arranged to spell marry me, drunk sorority girls trying to pay with Monopoly money, people answering the door in costumes at random times of year, the usual chaos that comes with feeding people who make questionable decisions. But what happened last Tuesday night still has me lying awake thinking about it. This order comes in around 9 p.m. during what should have been a quiet Tuesday shift. 3 large pizzas, 2 pepperoni, 1 supreme, garlic bread, 2 liters of Coke, breadsticks, and one of those chocolate lava cakes. Big order, probably $80. Nothing too unusual except the delivery address was this massive house way up in Ridgemont Hills. You know that neighborhood where the driveway alone costs more than my entire car, and people have those weird modern sculptures in their yards. I load up my beat-up Honda and start the drive. GPS took me down this winding road that felt like it went forever, past iron gates and perfectly manicured lawns that probably require full-time staff. The kind of place where even the mailboxes look expensive. When I finally pulled up to the address, my jaw nearly hit the steering wheel. The place was lit up like Christmas, and New Year's had a baby. Every single window in this 3-story mansion was glowing with warm light, and there had to be at least 15 cars parked in the massive circular driveway. We're talking serious money here. BMW, Mercedes, even a white Tesla, all perfectly aligned like they were posing for a magazine. I grab the insulated bags, double-check the address, and walk up to this elaborate front entrance that looks like it belongs on a castle. The doorbell probably cost more than my monthly rent, and when I pressed it, these deep chimes echoed through the house. The door opens, and I'm face to face with this woman, probably early 40s, wearing what I initially thought was a gorgeous wedding dress. But as my eyes adjusted, something felt deeply wrong. The dress was way too big, hanging off her shoulders like it was made for someone else, and it had this yellowed vintage quality like it had been stored in an attic for decades. Her makeup, which probably started the day looking flawless, was now completely smeared. Mascara streaks painted dark lines down her cheeks, and her eyes were so bloodshot it was clear she'd been crying for hours. "The bride's feast has finally arrived," she announces in this unnaturally cheerful voice, projecting toward the room behind her like she's addressing an audience. That's when I got my first glimpse inside, and honestly, it was like stepping into the Twilight Zone. About 15 people, all dressed in their absolute finest formal wear, men in expensive suits, women in cocktail dresses that probably cost more than my tuition, were sitting in complete silence around this elaborately decorated living room. Wedding decorations were everywhere. White roses, silk ribbons draped from the ceiling, twinkling fairy lights creating this magical ambiance, candles flickering on every surface. In the center sat this stunning 3-tier wedding cake, completely untouched, with 2 crystal champagne flutes positioned beside it like they were waiting for a toast that would never come. But here's what made my skin crawl. Nobody was talking. Nobody was moving. Nobody was even looking at each other. These people in their fancy clothes were just sitting there staring at their hands, the floor, anywhere but at each other. The silence was so thick you could cut it with a knife. The woman starts fumbling around in this tiny beaded purse, trying to count out exact change, but her hands are trembling so violently she keeps dropping quarters. "Thank you so very much for coming to help celebrate my special day," she says, her voice cracking with each word. "Greg couldn't make it tonight, you see, but that's perfectly okay. That's completely okay." She keeps repeating "that's okay" under her breath while struggling with the money, like she's trying to convince herself. I'm standing there trying to hand over these pizza bags when this older woman, clearly her mother, comes rushing over from an elegant white couch. "Honey, please," she says in this desperate voice. "The guests really need to eat something normal. Everyone's been sitting here for over 6 hours. Aunt Linda is diabetic. She needs actual food." The mother looks at me with these absolutely desperate eyes, like she's silently begging for help but has no idea what to ask for. That's when the horrible realization hit me like a freight train. This wasn't some weird wedding reception celebrating something that had already happened. This was supposed to be the wedding, right here, right now, tonight, and the groom had never shown up. "Ma'am," I said as gently as possible, "are you absolutely sure you want all this food?" She looked up at me with what I can only describe as the saddest, most heartbreaking smile I've ever witnessed. "Oh yes, dear boy. We absolutely must feed everyone who came to celebrate with us tonight. They all got dressed up in their finest clothes. Mom flew in from Portland this morning. Uncle Jim took off work and drove 3 hours. Cousin Beth hired a babysitter. The least I can do is make sure nobody goes home hungry on my wedding day." Her voice was getting higher and more frantic with each word, like she was desperately trying to convince herself this was all normal. I handed her the warm pizza bags, and she insisted on signing the receipt with this ornate fountain pen, carefully writing "Mrs. Sarah Mitchell" in absolutely perfect cursive across the signature line. As I'm walking back toward my car, trying to process what I had just witnessed, I hear the older woman's voice drifting through the still open front door. "Sarah, honey, your name is still Sarah Chen.